ETS, yeah. Well, yeah, I went through, I don't know if you heard some of what I had to say, but yeah, they got a lot of starters returning. The thing is, are they returning from an 8-3 team, or are they returning from a 6-5 team? That's the big thing here. All right, we'll put you on. When it comes to the Southern Conference, few know more than SoCon John Hooper, and he joins me now talking a little bit about the transition that we're having now as ETSU's football season now officially becomes basketball season.
Been in the playoffs for as long as he's been, and I think that's a testament to the coaching staff and that team prepared to play, and just to knowing what kind of environment they were going into on a Saturday night down in Alabama.
Well, a couple of questions that I want to... First of all, you mentioned credit to the coaching staff, but Tyson Helton, offensive coordinator at Tennessee, is theorizing, what about Randy Sanders? In fact, I would think that if Tennessee did have the interest, and it seems to me that the Fulmer and Pruitt both like hiring people they know rather than the frisky young colt that might be able to teach the old dog some new tricks. If you look at their hiring practices, it seems like that's been the case. The only reason let me just ask you this. Do you think that if the Vols came a-calling for Randy Sanders, wanting him back, that he would go?
Marky, you might know the answer to this question, I guess, better than I would, but I would answer that question with a question.
Okay.
And ask you what his age was. So, yeah, I mean, it's pretty much going to plateau off because, I mean, he's going to get more money. He's probably not going to get the opportunity to be a head coach again.
Yeah.
Because most of the athletic directors nowadays are looking to hire younger guys, especially the group of 5 levels at FCS. And I don't know if he's not in a better situation now at East Tennessee State than as far as prestigious job. Now, pay-wise, obviously, Tennessee can pay him more money, but it just all depends on what he wants.
Yeah, I've thought of that myself. I'll say this with Sanders. I think that if he wanted to go back to the FBS, like I said, I think he could win a lot of games at ETSU. But the age that he has, I don't know if that means that college. Give me a break here. You want the Auburn offensive coordinator is interested. Why would Tennessee be interested in him? They beat him, for crying out loud. What it's that sort of thing. By the way, Brent Venables, defensive coordinator at Clemson, says he has no interest in the Texas Tech job. I got to throw that out there. But let's go back to the Southern Conference.
After the word he got, credit for South Carolina's coaching staff for the way they schemed that game offensively. I think they probably opened some doors as far as what film study for Alabama or whoever is playing Clemson in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because they win the ACC championship.
Pat Nardozzi next week, although it's quite to ask the 7-5 Panthers to beat Clemson this week and all this. But anyhow, some film that my friend's son Elijah Zeiss, who's a starter in the secondary for the Panthers, will certainly be looking at and such. All right, we're talking to SoCon John Hooper, future of ETSU. You think it's bright? They returned 15 starters, not including be close to a 500 team. What do you think the future has in store for the Buccaneers next year?
I think it's very bright. If you look at the players that they do lose some significant pieces. I think Sticker is one that I think about that comes to mind, a record setter. And then you look at, I guess, this year, where they had a slew of starters returning, but they had a quarterback. Their quarterback that taking a combined 13 snaps. Well, Marky's obviously going to have more experience, and we don't know what's going to happen on the offseason, if they're going to play a redshirt freshman, or if they're going to if it's Logan Marky's job to lose. I mean, we just don't really know until probably after spring practice what the consensus on that from the coaching staff would be. But I think that you would have to believe that Marky was the starter. I mean, I would be shocked if he wasn't. And he has a little bit more game experience. So you're ETSU's losing a quarterback, but they're not necessarily losing as much experience as some schools that lost their quarterbacks would with that many starters returning.
Sure. I agree. Now, the big players that they're losing, Dylan Weigel has just been a great linebacker for 4 years. Austin Gatewood, who in effect won the Western Carolina game. Matt Pike, who's been a lot of accolades for Pike as a lineman this season. Obviously, Austin Herring, and also Kobe Kelly, the wide receiver that hurt himself. Let's not forget Tremont Farrell either. Coming back, though, you do have some nice players. I mean, Tyree Robinson, who, by the way, I think it was Southern Pickwick named him SoCon Defensive Player of the Year, had another interception in the Jacksonville State game off of Cooper. This guy just keeps why was he the object of Sanders' scorn in spring practice? Who can understand that? You've got the against Jacksonville State. All right, all kickers do. I mean, we don't want to grind the axe that much for him, but not a perfect guy. Yeah. Sure.
The kicker they had in the mid-90s, was that Conchelis?
Yeah, I remember.
Joey Chapman.
Or Conchelis was, 2001, so yes.
Yeah,
but Chapman.
It was a good Jerry Chapman, and he was very good. That's one thing ETSU's always seemed to do is special teams. They've always had good field goal kickers.
I think one of the reasons why is that they've always had artificial surface, at least for the last, generation. This is the first time we haven't had artificial surface.
Right, that's a very good point. And, kicking outdoors is a lot different, obviously. But I think the nucleus is there. Every game in their career, and you miss some of that, but there's enough carryover from, some of the young guys that, I know that not a lot of them saw playing time, significant minutes, but there were some, and you mentioned Quay Holmes. He may be the best running back in Johnson City, Brandon Wofford.
Mm-hmm.
Back in, I think, 96, was a very good running back, and they also had a guy named Brian Edwards.
Oh, yeah.
They had a double, kind of a duo at running back. So I think the future is bright. I would say that ETSU, right now, I would actually say ETSU, the Citadel, and Furman, and Wofford would be probably somewhere in the top 4 of mine.
Intriguing.
Going off the top of my head.
All right. No, and I don't have a problem with that. I Wofford go now that they've beaten. Yes, it is. I think that a lot of ETSU fans who always are saying, oh, the SoCon is so much better than the Big South. I've got people that do the rankings. They say SoCon is the 7th best football conference and the Big South is the 8th. I've seen also some people pick the SoCon as high as 4, but it's, I don't know. It's like, picking against Kennesaw State is like picking against Oklahoma. I think that would be an analogy that I would make. But
I think here's the difference, though. Why I would pick Wofford to win that game?
Okay.
On the road, Wofford runs a similar offense. They see that every day in practice, a version of it. Now, whether Chandler Burke, he's a very good quarterback. He makes that offense go as far as a decision maker, but they had such good athletes in that position. Burks is a great player, but I don't know the conference, despite the fact that that team had,
Okay. That now, looking ahead, I mean, the transition now is from football to basketball, but this has been one last thing. You really think Furman should have been in this field of 24, and I know you were tweeting out a lot of stuff.
6 of their last 7,
Isn't it based on the entire season and not the last few games? I mean, those aren't exhibitions.
I mean, there's 6 and 7 wins to close the season, and the committee always says that we look at how you do down the stretch. Well, if they're going to say that and take that into consideration, I mean, Furman wasn't even on the bubble. That's shocking. It's not even on the bubble. And we're getting let incarnate word, just whoever wants to play. And I don't know if SoCon had it down here. But can you really tell me that, Furman would, or ETSU or Wofford would get blitzkrieg by Duquesne?
Fighting Val Jansantes from Pittsburgh. There you go. No. And you've got something there. Duquesne, and they were blitzed. I mean, Duquesne had to go to Townsend, and Duquesne only has 40 scholarships. Okay, I mean, if ETSU wants fans want to know a little what that's like, Robert Morris, that's in the same boat. 40 scholarships and such, and and Duquesne, by the way, has not put a player into the NFL. I think their last year that they had major college football was 49. I know that Dan Rooney played on the team. That's what's going right there. But yes, I was very fond in the trivia question that I get all to play college football at Duquesne. Yes. It's Val Jansanti, and his last year with the Steelers was 51. So, I mean, we're talking a whole new era. He was the first Steeler to catch 10 passes in a game. And his son is the principal of Bethel Park High School, where Barbara Felden, Agent 99 of Get Smart fame, went to high school.
That's like 8 degrees of separation there.
Yeah. Would you believe, I mean, we don't miss it by that much here on Tri-Cities Sports Now. We are, however, kind of all over the place. So let's go to basketball here. And yeah, you just heard, we're talking about bad news for Furman in football. Good news in basketball. They're 7-0 with a victory against Villanova. In fact, and while there haven't been any in-conference games, my goodness, CG, ETSU, Wofford, and the military academies of VMI and the Citadel all have winning records.
I think a lot of people missed the victory that the Citadel got the other night over South Florida. I mean, we talked, and rightfully so, we've been talking a big win for that program. I mean, considering where they've been to go and beat a South Florida, that's pretty significant. And not only for them as a program, but I think for Southern College, that's a good win. So, despite the fact that South Florida has its greatest.
Now, I understand it's a nice conference right there, but I do have to ask you, I mean, and I'm going to tell you, I'm not positive of the South Florida record off the top of my head, but I mean, ETSU fans, they're going to think of South Florida, and they're, what, I'm sorry?
They were kicked towards the bottom of that league.
Yeah. The thing about South Florida, I guess, that I sort of get in my mind is that that's where Murray Bartow went after ETSU, and he became the head coach on an interim basis, and I think his record was off the top of my head, I think it was 1-16.
Right, and they have had a lot of turnover in coaching, just because you would think there are two places that don't make sense to me in mid-major basketball. They can't win games. But one of the I was talking about was some of the UNC Asheville folks yesterday after the game, and now the other one we just mentioned about football, Kennesaw State. I mean, Atlanta's one of the basketball in the nation, and they don't recruit kids from Atlanta, which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
And they're sitting right there on top of so much talent. I mean, look at what Georgia State does. Look at what all these other teams, Georgia Southern now even. So it's just been so long. And the same, I guess, is a little bit true for South Florida. I mean, you would think there would be a lot of athletes in that area of Florida. And they can't all be playing football.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I can think of is that you've got, so many schools down there in Florida that are playing basketball. And so, if you are saying, hey, I'll let you start 4 years at Florida Gulf and 2 years at USF, I can barely spit it out of my mouth here and all this. Anyway, let's go, though, talk the local. What are your thoughts on ETSU? They had a nice 79-61 game. Beating North Dakota State. It was said, we had Steve Forbes on earlier. He said that was to go and play 5-0 Georgia Southern, and then on Saturday with Wofford.
On a row now. I think there's December 1st, December. I don't think that, and late December. I don't think.
On Tri-Cities Sports Now, and it's archived, so you can listen to that on our 1420 NBC Sports Radio Tri-Cities Facebook page. Anyway, he likes Wofford to beat Kennesaw State. The question that I got to ask you, though, and I know we're looking far ahead, but Virginia Military, any chance whatsoever they could beat Virginia Tech on December 5th? We're talking basketball now.
I watched 2 parts of it. Really good.
Yeah, they look really good, and the reason I mention that is an old time rivalry, and I know I even had VMI beat writer on here a couple of years ago. Says, yeah, I've been doing this for a while. I remember when VMI beat Virginia Tech in football in 1981. I covered that game. Randy King, I think was the man's name, and up in Roanoke. He's since retired, but just that perspective of, wait a minute, at one time VMI could beat Virginia Tech. Well, what has made VMI so good? I can understand the Bockham up-tempo style, but VMI 5-2, I mean, this hasn't happened since 1975 or something like that, or when Bart Belair's was there. How is VMI 5-2?
They play a similar style to this. They shoot a great volume of three-pointers. I think if you watch the Kentucky game, you can see that. I think they hit 19 in that game, and where they've got a couple guys that I think Bubba Parham is a guy that has probably one of the quickest releases in major basketball. He and Jordan Lyons, it's so tough to block their shots on 3-pointers. And not only that, I think Bubba Parham, for the amount he shoots from there, is a very efficient shooter. And so, he's a guy that he had 35 against Kentucky, and that's. I know VMI beat them under Duggar Bockham, but I think this Kentucky team, at least it should be a bit better than that. I guess it was 2008 version.
He is SoCon John Hooper. Read him at midmajormadness.com. He knows what's going on in the conference. Could this finally be the year that 2 bids? Biggest of long shots, but they're winning. 54% of the games against D1 out of conference. All right,
I think what you need to have happen now, though, last thing, is to have ETSU or somebody else get one of those big scouts.
There you go, Tri-Cities Sports Now. One of those big scouts.